Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You're joining me on the starting grid here at the BalatonPark for the first GT sprint of the 2024 ESETCup Series sprint. And it's the first GT race of the season, of course. We've had the Cup racing, which is just finished, and we now have much faster, much more powerful cars on the grid. And let's actually talk to the pole position guy. It is the ARC Bratislava car on pole position, which we may have got used to already, but it is not Miro, it's his son Adam, who's starting from pole. And Adam, across Clio's, Porsche, now Lambo, and you're starting first. So how do you feel?
Yeah, it's something new. I'm not used to it yet, but well, the results are good and I'm happy that I'm first.
What can we expect from you in the race? Just disappear like Max Verstappen?
No, I don't think so. The Porsche, the Mercedes next to me had better times, so I will try to keep him behind me, but overall I think I'll try my best.
Okay, have fun. And we're going to skip to the second row immediately. Or at least I would love to, but Denis Vasek isn't really here. Denis Vasek should start from third on the grid, and he will. However, he's just finished the Renault Twingo race, so he had to run fast to actually make it. So we may just make our way onto the other side of the front row to Martin Kaczmarski, sitting on the front row in his Mercedes AMG. Martin, hi. Front row start here, new track, sun is up. So what are your views before the race?
The sun is the most important, the weather is most important, that's I'm happy. And the race, I hope everything's gonna be good. And I will push, but not to the limit, just to having fun. No risk, because later we have an endurance race, we need to take care about the car and just having fun.
So you've got your sunglasses, you've got your onboard camera, so fun in the sun.
Yeah, I can make an interview with you right now, because I have a camera here. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Should I ask you some questions?
Do it.
Tell me, what do you think about the circuit?
Oh, the circuit looks really nice, and for the Cup racing that we've had, interesting battle, so I'm really looking forward to the GT race. Okay, reverse interview.
Having fun.
Have fun. It is Denis Vasek on the other side of the front row there. Not really sure if we still have a minute to have a chat with him. Maybe just a very quick question until we absolutely have to run away, because Denis, hi, you've made it from Twingo, now the car 8 times as more powerful. Nervous?
Yeah, a little bit. I was more nervous in the Twingo, to be honest, that it survives, but right now I feel at home again, and I will deliver.
Cool, have fun. Okay, we're gonna have to run so that even we make it, and we start in just a couple of minutes. We are opening the 2023 season here in Germany. First of the 6 calendar events that are ready for us this year.
Oh, there's contact between Joachim Galage and Libor Milotan.
There is the race leader, Filip Salaguarda. They are now going to be side by side across the line, but Galage is prevailing. Joachim Galage scores another victory. With his teammate, there's a slight touch in the first corner. What a move that was! third, and there's a contact. Luckily, everybody else has managed to avoid that car. This is going to be a photo finish between the two Lambos. Who's first? It must be Denis Vashek. Unbelievable! And this is a big crash, massive crash. And so there we are, off to the formation lap for the first GT Sprint of 2024. Cars ready to go and to line up on the grid. Actually not standing start, of course, but you see the pace car, the safety car at the front of the pack, which means that we are going to get the rolling start into the sprint race as is usual. For the GT category, again, mixed classes that we're going to see. GT3s up front on the grid. GTCs this time actually split into two classes, the GTC and the GTC1, then GTX. We've only got two machines in that category and a couple of GT4s towards the back. But we have amazing fight on our hands in that class as well. It is Adam Konopka starting his first ever GT3 race on pole position here in ESETCup series. Alongside him, Martin Kaczmarski. We had a beautiful common mutual interview on the grid. New experiences for everyone. Denis Vashek in third, just on the back of his Renault Twingo Cup experience. Alongside him, Miro Konopka. So dad and son close to one another on the grid. Hubert Darmetko in his Porsche 992 Cup in fifth, leading the GTC1 class. Andrej Lah in sixth in his Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Petr Brecka in his brand new Porsche, and Libor Dvořáček alongside him in his Michanek Motorsport liveried Lamborghini, row number 4. Petr Koukola with Franz Lahmer, row number 5. Then we've got Bob Bau, Radek Kolařík, Gabor Tim in his Lotus Exige, Rudo Beňo in the M4 BMW, leading the GT4 class. Behind him, Mark Kastelic, Antal Žigo, Andrej Makarovic, Kalman Bodiš and János Santa. So the safety car is back into the pits and we are about to start the first GT Sprint of the season. The 2024 is underway. Adam Konopka already has full rear view mirrors with Denis Vashek starting fast once again. Oh, and there's a fight from the inside goes Kaczmarski in his Mercedes. He lost the place right away, but then he fought back and claimed it back, and round the outside he goes in the fight with Adam Konopka and into the lead. What a move that was, using as much space as he possibly could, and the Polish driver is now in the lead. Adam Konopka falling down to second in the GT3 class, still with Denis Vashek right behind him in the GT2 Motorsport liveried Lambo. Miro Konopka staying in fourth for the moment. Hubert Darmetko in P5, and there we go. First time into the chicane, hard on the brakes towards the rear part of the track. This is going to be a quite different experience. We've got dust in the distance. Somebody has been off. Adam Konopka exploring the extremities of the track, and now he is just ahead of his dad. This is going to be a big yellow fight of the Dayglow Lamborghinis. Or is Miro just cover him off? Let's see. Both of them in the GT3 class entered in the same championship, and Miro Konopka has already dealt with Denis Vashek. Big fight under braking. That's the M4 BMW driven by Rudo Beňo. the driving duties later on in the endurance race with series returnee Risho Gonda mentoring him across the weekend in Schenkersiek Motorsport colours. There we go, Denis Vashek, as he said on the grid. Yeah, a lot more power. Maybe he was a bit more nervous in the Twingo Cup race, but now he feels a way more at home behind the wheel of the Lambo that he knows so well. He's done so many seasons with it already. Last year he famously had the beautiful championship title fight with Mechanik Motorsport boys, Joachim Galash and Maciej Pawlicek, both of them leaving the series after that. And we'll see them in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo this year. Also last year's overall champion Filip Salaguarda moving on. The GT Open and taking with him Libor Milota, who cut his teeth basically in the ESETCup series, gained experience across 4 seasons with his AMG Mercedes, now switching over to Audi R8, the latest evolution of it, and joining ISR Racing Squad. Ooh, and this is a problem for the car number 440, Radek Kolářík, spinning his Porsche, and there's also another car, that's one of the Mercs, in trouble. Is it the car number 19? Yes, it is. Mark Kastelic on the grass, and if he stays there for a little longer, it might actually trigger a safety car period, because he's standing there in presumably a dangerous position at a dangerous place. And so Kaczmarski leading 1:36.6, his fastest lap that he just set on the previous tour. From Adam Konopka, Miro Konopka in second and third. Miro coming under pressure from Denis Vashek. That's the leading GTC car. Tiny little twitch as he runs across the curb. Denis Vashek, Miro Konopka going defensive. Denis Vashek trying to have some fun with the GT3 cars as well, although these are 2 different categories. You may notice actually quite large differences between the 2 Hurricanes. Same model underneath, but one of them is GT3 ready, so a hardcore racing machine. The only one actually the sort of cup version, the Super Trofeo variant in the GTC class, but they are having none of that. GT3, GTC doesn't really matter, they want to fight it out on the track and let the results do the talking. There is Hubert Darmetko, the GTC1 class leader, close in the background with his Porsche, while Kaczmarski is actually getting away further and further from the rest of the pack. If we look a little further, we've got Petr Koukola in the GTX KTM. And Petr Koukola flying the colours of Orlen Janík Motorsport. I had a chat with the team boss, Václav Janík. He said that they are fielding as many as 12 cars around, not just ESETCup series, but everywhere they go. So 12 cars racing this season, full on, so a lot to manage, a lot to do. And even here in the ESETCup series, they've got a car pretty much in every series, probably apart from the Renault Twingo Cup. So they've got a Clio, they've got a Formula 4 car even. And yeah, now the GTX KTM in the hands of Petr Koukola. So quite an extensive racing program for the Czech squad. Seems to be an issue for one of the Mercs. That was the one that we saw in the grass, actually, which may have been Lemma Racing entered Marek Kastelic, Slovenian driver, entering the GT4 class. Miro Konopka taking rather a wide exit out of the turn 2. So this is the main grandstand, and you'll see a lot of viewers actually lined up all the way at the top. Because you can actually use it to wait the main grandstand. You can even actually watch head-on into the pits, which is going to be interesting later on in the endurance race, which again will feature a mandatory pit stop and for many cars actually even a driver swap. But now for the sprint, you'd also like to look the other way around, because you have the overview of the chicane and the hairpin towards the back end of the track, which is where quite a lot of overtaking happens at this circuit, as we are learning across the weekend. Meanwhile, Kaczmarski has extended his lead to about 9 seconds in his GT3 Merc, dropping the best lap of the race under 1:36. He just did 1:35.9. Adam Konopka not really just hanging around, 1:36.3 from him, so definitely a good time on his hands as well. Being only about 4/10 slower, or round about half a second slower. But definitely not bad. Miro Konopka already a full second slower, as he's still having to focus on the Lambo in his rearview mirrors, covering his son's efforts nicely. Denis Vašek 1:37.3, so did Miro Konopka. Hubert Darmetko 1:38.5 as the leading GTC1 car, so dropping down from the top fight. Even disappearing from the shot. There it is, the Porsche just now coming, hoving into the view. This is the Lotus Exige. Ooh, and I have a bit of a confusion here over which side to overtake the Lotus around. And Dennis simply decided to play it safe. This is not a tackle sport like the Renault Twingo Cup, so much bigger costs if you take a hit against another car. Basically an entire Renault Twingo costs you about, I don't know, 12,000 euros. Which is a set of tyres money for the GT cars. actually the local driver Gabor Tim driving the Lotus in the GTX class. Gabor Tim. He's a 7-time Hungarian champion. He did the European Clio Cup in the past. He also did I believe the Skoda Octavia Cup in the past. As we've just entered the second half of the race, a minute to go. Further down the field, we've got Antal Žigo moving up ahead in the GT4 class, into the lead. That's what I was going to say. And that demoted Rudo Benio down to second. But this is a big problem for Adam Konopka as he's dropped his Lambo into the gravel. So the pole sitter, the erstwhile race leader, a long-time second place runner, is currently beached in the gravel. So terrible bit of luck for Adam. So that means that in this race he's going to gain experience the hard way. Let's see what happens if we... Oh yeah, we did see that. So spin. And then of course once you beach the car, there's no going away, no getting away. It was for the first second, I believe. And either way, you've got a safety car on the track. So the safety car board's being showed. And yeah, we've got Adam's car beached in the gravel at the end of the first sector. He simply lost it in that long left-hander. It's just a never-ending wait for grip until you can go and open the taps and go flat out on the throttle as you're entering the back straight behind the main grandstand. And he seemed to have overdone it a tiny little bit. Simply went over that limit of adhesion of his tires and just simply dropped it. A rookie mistake that you simply need to learn from. But up until then, honestly, Adam was running very nicely, managing very quick lap times, and even though he'd lost around 10 seconds to the race leader Martin Kaczmarski, he was managing to lap under half a second away from him, so definitely not a bad pace. Either way, he's going to have to try again later on. But for now, it is race over, game over for Adam Konopka, unfortunately. So it is Miro Konopka up to second, Denis Vasek up to third, Hubert Darmetko in fourth, leading the GTC1 class. This is the overall race leader. Which is PTT Racing's Martin Kaczmarski. So the safety car is out on the track, and it's the Porsche Taycan. It's the electric Porsche. neutralizing the race for the moment. So, let's just look a little further down the order, since we have a bit of time. I mentioned Martin Kaczmarski leading the race and also leading the GT3 class. Denis Vasek holding on to that lead in GTC. Hubert Darmetko leading the GTC1, but a little further down in second and third in GTC class we've got Andrej Lah and Libor Dvořáček in the Mechanik Motorsport Lamborghini. Petr Koukola in the GTX class with his Janík Motorsport prepared KTM, leading from Gabor team in that Lotus X Siege. And among GT4s, it's an interesting fight between the M4 Beamers. Antal Žigo, representing Trevor Racing colours, leading the race, having snatched that first position from Rudo Beño. And we'll see if at the restart we can have a fight back and a battle for the race lead once again. It is a 19-strong field for the start of the season, currently being reduced to 18, of course, as we've lost the Dayglow yellow Lambo that Adam Konopka unfortunately beached into the gravel. The work's still going on to extricate that car out of the trap. Probably going to, lift the car in the air. It's way better than dragging it through the gravel, risking further damage. But that will be time consuming, and I am a bit worried if we are even going to restart the race today, because we've only got a couple of minutes left, well, just under 5, and the car is only now still being strapped on. Let's see that once again, Adam, as he was lapping one of the Lemma Racing Mercs. He just dropped it, spun around, beached it into the gravel. I believe he did not go as far as the barrier, so the car shouldn't really be damaged. Of course, damage done to the tyres, and as they say, racing driver's ego. That's the damage that you can shrug off quite quickly, hopefully, and it's an important lesson to learn. So car to be lifted up in the air, and towed away. And I wonder if we really have time for more racing. Just under 4 minutes. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. It will very much depend on where we will find ourselves on the track around that time where the clock ticks down to 0. There we go. Now we have an opportunity to examine the car a little further from different angles. Seems to be fine. Just careful for the track marshals and for the firefighters. So easy to trip, and yeah. We're also trying to bring you, if possible, drone footage, which I believe is really interesting. Of course, there being limitations to the usage of that, also due to the fact that we're close to airport exclusion zone. car to be dropped. I mean, not dropped, but moved away behind the barrier. And then we're going to go racing again. 1:47. Yeah, it's going to be tight. It's going to be very tight, really. It will very much depend on where we will be on the track. We've just entered another lap, and behind the safety car we've been lapping at about 3 minutes something. That's too slow. That's too slow. And with that, I'm afraid that we've had it for this race. So that may have very well been the race-ending incident. Unfortunately, yeah, the sprint's being quite quick, and the tow-away activities not so much all the time. This is nothing against the guys trying to manage the entire situation. It's definitely a delicate job to extricate a Lambo out of the gravel. It can't seem to drive itself out as the ground clearance is so low, and you also don't want to risk any further damage to the car, which the team wouldn't really thank you for. So caution definitely in place. But through that, it is a big question if we even get to restart the race. I believe we will not, because we only have 30 seconds left, and with that we should finalize the race at the end of this lap, which would mean that Martin Kaczmarski would take victory in his GT3 Mercedes from Miro Konopka. Denis Vashek completing the podium and winning the GTC class. Hubert Darmetko winning GTC1. Petr Kokola victorious in GTX. And yeah, we will then not see anything else from that fight for the GT4 class victory either. So the time is up right now. We've just ticked over 25 minutes, and that means that the safety car will bring the entire field back onto the start and finish straight. There we go, and the checkered flag should be up in the air, and it is. So this is effectively the end of the race. A bit anticlimactic, it needs to be said. It's always unfortunate if we have to finish a race behind the safety car, but so it is in motorsport sometimes. So that means that Martin Kaczmarski takes the victory in the opening round of the 2024 season from Miro Konopka. Denis Vashek completing the podium, winning the GTC class. Behind them, Hubert Darmetko taking victory in the GTC1 class. P5 and P6, that's Andrej Lah and Libor Dvořáček. Petr Kokola, 7th overall, victorious in the GTX class. Franz Lahmer in P8. Gabor Tim in P9. Bob Bau in P10. Petr Brecka, P11. Antal Žigo winning the GT4 class over Rudo Beño in 12th and 13th overall respectively. Local Kalman Bodiš in 14th from Andrej Makarovic, Janoš Santa, Mark Kastelic and Radek Kolařík. Adam Konopka, of course, not finishing the race and causing the race-ending incident. Nothing too dramatic, just a spin into the gravel. So no worries about the driver himself, no worries about the car, and they can try again later on. Coming up next is, we hope, yet another grid walk. We'll try to make our way back to the starting grid because we have got hopefully another thriller on our hands. It's going to be a TCR race, and it will need a little bit of explaining because we're going to have the TCR Eastern European field on the track, and together with them also 4 machines doing the Italian TCR Endurance Championship, and they will start the race together, do the 25 minutes that the Eastern European TCR normally does, and after those 25 minutes the Eastern European TCR racers will drive back to the pits, just as the entire GT field is doing right now. but the endurance guys will stay on the track because it will be over an hour long race for them, and they will finish the race on the track, and then we can start the lunch break, probably a little shortened lunch break because we've lost some time in the opening races already, and we still have to make sure that the entire program can fit into the day. So, cars being driven back to the Parc Fermé. This is it for the GT race, and we'll be back with the TCR race in just a couple of minutes.
Vamos ver de novo o que acontece.